Morning, giraffes. As it's such a beautiful day today, I thought I would read to you from my garden. Right, we are on chapter 3. George begins to make the medicine. Let's see what he does, shall we? George took an enormous saucepan out of the cupboard and placed it on the kitchen table. "George," came a shrill voice from the next room. "What are you doing?" "Nothing, Grandma," he called out. "You don't think I can't hear you because you closed the door? You're rattling the saucepans." "I'm just tidying the kitchen, Grandma." Then there was silence. George had absolutely no doubts whatsoever about how he was going to make his famous medicine. He wasn't going to fool about, wondering whether to put in a little bit of this or a little bit of that. Quite simply, he was going to put in everything he could find. There'd be no messing about, no hesitating, no wonder whether a particular thing would knock the old girl sideways or not. The rule would be, whatever he saw, if it was runny or powdery or gooey, it went in. Nobody had ever made a medicine like that before. If it didn't actually cure Grandma, then it would anyway cause some exciting results. It would definitely be worth watching. George decided to work his way around the various rooms one at a time and see what they had to offer. He would go first to the bathroom. There are always lots of fun things in the bathroom. So upstairs he went, carrying the enormous two-handled saucepan before him. Can you see there? Carrying the saucepan up the stairs. In the bathroom he gazed longingly at the famous and dreaded medicine cupboard, but he didn't go near it. It was the only thing in the entire house he was forbidden to touch. He had made solemn promises to his parents about this, and he wasn't going to break them. That he could actually kill a person, and although he was ready to give Grandma a pretty fiery mouthful, he didn't really want a dead body on his hands. George put the saucepan on the floor and went to work. Number 1 was a bottle labelled Golden Gloss Hair Shampoo. He emptied it into the pan. "That ought to wash her tummy nice and clean," he said. And if you can see there, look, he's looking in the bathroom, lots of different things, and he's got his shampoo ready to put in his big pan down here. He took a full tube of toothpaste and squeezed out the whole lot of it in one worm. "Maybe that will brighten up those horrible brown teeth of hers," he said. There was an aerosol can of super foam shaving soap belonging to his father. George loved playing with aerosols. He pressed the button and kept his finger on until there was none left. A wonderful mountain of white foam built up in the giant saucepan. With his fingers he scooped out the contents of a jar of vitamin-enriched face cream. In went a small bottle of scarlet nail varnish. "If the toothpaste doesn't clean her teeth," George said, "then this will paint them as red as roses." And there he is, look, putting all the different things into his saucepan. Can you see that? He found another jar of creamy stuff labelled hair remover. "Smear it on your legs," it said, and allow to remain for 5 minutes. George tipped the whole thing into the saucepan. There was a bottle with yellow stuff inside, and it was called Dishworth's famous dandruff cure. In it went. There was something called Brilliant for cleaning false teeth. It was a white powder. In that went too. He found another aerosol can, Nevermore Ponking deodorant spray. Guaranteed, it said, to keep away unpleasant body smells for a whole day. She could use plenty of that, George said, as he sprayed the entire can full into the saucepan. Liquid paraffin, the next one was called. It was a big bottle. He hadn't got the faintest idea what it did to you, but he poured it in anyway. That, he thought, looking around him, was about all from the bathroom. On his mother's dressing table in the bedroom, George found yet another lovely aerosol can. It was called Helga's Hair Set. Hold 12 inches away from the hair and spray lightly. He squirted the whole lot into the saucepan. He did enjoy squirting these aerosols. There was a bottle of perfume called Flowers of Turnips. It smelled like old cheese. In it went. And in too went a large round box of powder. It was called Pink Plaster. There was a powder puff on top, and he threw that in as well for good luck. He found a couple of lipsticks. He pulled the greasy red things out of their little cases and added them to the mixture. The bedroom had nothing more to offer, so George carried the enormous pan down the stairs and trotted into the laundry room, where the shelves were full of all kinds of items in the hat for the house. There we go, look, can you see he's in the laundry room? Lots of things. What can you think would be in the laundry room? The first one he took down was a large box of super white for automatic washing machines. Dirt, it said, will disappear like magic. George didn't know whether Grandma was automatic or not, but she was certainly an old woman. A dirty old woman, so she'd better have it all, he said, tipping the whole box into the pan. Then there was a big tin of Waxwell floor polish. It removes filth and foul messes from your floor and leaves everything shiny bright. George scooped the orange-coloured waxy stuff out of the tin and plonked it in the pan. There was a round cardboard carton labelled flea powder for dogs. Keep well away from the dog's food, it said, because this powder, if eaten, will make the dog explode. Good, said George, pouring it all into the saucepan. He found a box of canary seed on the shelf. Perhaps it'll make the old bird sing, he said, and in it went. Next, George explored the box with the shoe cleaning materials, brushes and tins and dusters. Well, now, he thought, Grandma's medicine is brown, so my medicine must be brown, or she'll smell a rat. The way to colour it, he decided, would to be with brown shoe polish. The large tin he chose was labelled dark tan. Splendid. He scooped it up out of with an old spoon and plonked it into the pan. He'd stir it up later. On his way back to the kitchen, George saw a bottle of gin standing on the sideboard. Grandma was fond of gin. Every evening she was allowed a little nip. Now he would give her a treat. He'd pour the whole bottle in, and he did. Back in the kitchen, George put the huge saucepan on the table and went over to the cupboard that served as a larder. The shelves were bulging with bottles and jars of every sort. He chose the following and emptied them in one by one into the saucepan. A tin of curry powder, a tin of mustard powder, a bottle of extra hot chilli sauce, a tin of black peppercorns, a bottle of horseradish sauce. There, he said aloud, that should do it. George, came the squeaky voice from the next room. Who are you talking to in there? What are you up to? Nothing, Grandma, absolutely nothing, he called back. Is it time for my medicine yet? No, Grandma, not for about half an hour. Well, just see you don't forget it. I won't, George promised. I won't. And that's the end of that chapter. So our next chapter is called Animal Pills. Have a think about what you think it might be about. See you soon.